Hello and welcome to episode 2 of the Pigs and Fergs Wrestling Podcast. I am NLW, aka Fergs, and I'm here with Piggy, and today we're talking about TNA Final Resolution 2008. Of course, we reviewed the Impact episode before this where AJ Styles was trying to pick a side between Christian Cage and Kurt Angle, but alas, he has waited until the pay-per-view to make a decision. We've also got a huge tag team title match as Samoa Joe and Kevin Nash team up, but will they coexist together? We'll have to wait and see. Also, huge Knockouts title match and some pretty cool stuff on this card. Why this particular show did you want to watch?
Well, I wanted for people to give context, since we reviewed the previous episode, reviewed the Go Home show, and I just thought it'd be fitting to make a tiny little arc where we review the Go Home show, the pay-per-view, and then spoilers, the following episode, what happens afterwards. I just thought it'd be nice.
Yeah, it's a good little arc, and it also gives you kind of a snapshot of what TNA was doing at the time, particularly because you've got legends of TNA like Kurt Angle, like Christian Cage, and AJ Styles, all in the same storyline. In fact, it's also the peak of the Knockouts division, as well as you got Samoa Joe and Booker T has just joined, so things are really looking up for the company. But we'll have to see on this night whether they kind of capitalise on it. Let's just start the pay-per-view, shall we?
Before we start the pay-per-view, it's time for results. What happened on the competition?
Oh, yes.
We say the competition. So Friday Night SmackDown from January 4, 2008, held in the Richmond Coliseum in Richmond, Virginia. It was televised, I think, on the 30th of December. It was taped on the 30th of December, I should say. And this is a 5-star classic card, because you had Finlay with Hornswoggle, who defeated Montel Frontalius Porter in a beat the clock challenge in 9 minutes and 16 seconds. Kenny Dykstra and Victoria defeated Chuck Palumbo and Michelle McCool.
Kenny Dykstra was still in WWE at this point. That's mad.
He was in WWE in 2008. I know. Shocker. Kenny Dykstra, I think, was a part of the Spirit Squad, I think.
Yeah, and then he had his singles run. He faced Ric Flair and then never really heard from him again. Well, apparently we have now. He was in WWE in 2008, apparently. That's a name I haven't heard in years.
Yeah, Kenny. So weird the names you can hear from this.
And John Cena nicked his girlfriend, allegedly.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
To continue on, Chavo Guerrero defeated Funaki, SmackDown's number 1, and a beat the clock challenge in 6 minutes and 2 seconds. Batista versus Kurt Angle then.
I wish.
He's on TNA. Wrong Kurt. Batista defeated Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder, but it ended in a time limit draw, a 2-on-1 handicap match in 6 minutes and 2 seconds. Everyone's favourite wrestler in the world, Jimmy Wang Yang, and Shannon Moore defeated Deuce and Domino with Cherry. Mark Henry versus The Undertaker ended in a time limit draw in a beat the clock challenge match, with Matt Striker as special guest referee in 6 minutes and 2 seconds. Rey Mysterio defeated Edge, who had Kurt Hawkins and Zack Ryder, in a beat the clock challenge in 4 minutes and 50 seconds. On the dark match, Batista defeated Edge, champion by DQ, in a World Heavyweight Championship match. And your commentators, if you were wondering, was Michael Cole, Jonathan Coachman, and your ring announcer was Justin Roberts. What is your thoughts on this?
I was heavily into SmackDown at this time, because this would have been like nearer the time that I'd like kind of just started getting into it. I think I did take a break just before this kind of era, so I probably came back into it around that Christmas time just before, and I remember being so hyped for the Royal Rumble, because when they were hyping up as WWHD, I thought it was going to be its own like channel or something, so I was super pumped for that. And I was a massive fan of the new LED sets that they bring in only a couple of weeks later. I'm sure we'll get into that, because I know there is a couple of 2008 January shows that we'll review. But yeah, and I was, again, as a Rey Mysterio fan, I was really hoping he would beat Edge at this time. But yeah, it didn't really come to be. I don't think the star power compared to the start of this year, but I guess this was on the heels of the Benoit stuff. Are we allowed to say his name? I forgot.
Oh yeah, we're allowed to say his name, but we're allowed to bring light to him, but we're not really going to go, woo, Benoit, top 5 greatest wrestler of all time.
Yeah,
we're
we
not
won't be
really
applauding
going to
him.
do that. We're not going to praise him. When we mention him, we're just mentioning the wrestler, not the person.
Yeah, so, okay, it was after the Benoit stuff, so I think maybe there was a little bit of lull for the company. That I say a little bit of lull, it's lasted like 15 years at this point, but still, they definitely picked up a lot after this kind of era, because it felt like they were kind of going through the motions, I think, around this time, like, especially with Jimmy Wang Yang and Shannon Moore teaming up against Deuce and Domino, like, and Kenny Dykstra. Not saying these aren't great wrestlers, I'm just saying, not the big stars.
Yeah, you think it would happen in like 2006, but it's so weird when you read it that it happened in 2008. Well, 2007, but it aired in 2008. It's kind of weird when you look back, because it really shows, and if we can just speak on the light of the tragedy, it really shows that WWE and all of wrestling were quite literally shocked by the tragedy, and it just shows that things happen. Like, wrestling's not as smooth as butter sometimes. Things do happen. And
it can knock the wind out of a lot of people, just in general. I know a lot of people probably were tuning out at this point just because, fatigue over the whole horrible stuff that happened and whatnot. But on, like, pure wrestling side of things, you look at the roster on SmackDown in 2007, and then you go over to TNA, and, like, TNA's roster is so much more packed with stars. You've got Kurt Angle, Christian, Joe, Nash, Booker, AJ. I might have said AJ already, but just so many guys, and their X division as well. They're treated like legit guys. The Dudleys. It seems to be a lot more packed for the star power. So it's weird how they weren't able to turn that around into something more successful for them.
Yeah, TNA really had a lot in the world, but it's kind of like when you bring in too many wrestlers, you just don't know what to... It's the same problem, we could talk about it right now with AEW. You're bringing in too many wrestlers and you don't know what to do with all your eggs in the basket. So you're like, well, I'll just crack this egg, and if it falls out of the basket, it falls out of the basket. Nothing I can do.
Yeah. I think AEW, though, has gone, like, past the point of, too many wrestlers. There's so many there now. But I don't. To be fair to TNA, I think how many people they had in the company, they managed to fit a lot of them on this card. Like, a lot of the main players on the card we're about to watch. But yeah, I know there might have been a couple people who may not have been on the card. Like, I can't remember off the top of my head, but there were definitely some people on this card that shouldn't have been on this card. Let me just say that now. Not implying anything just yet. You have to wait and see. But yeah, if we were to kind of start the pay-per-view, I just want to say that the intro package was absolutely fantastic. What did you think of it?
The intro package was fantastic. The announcer, I forget who the announcer was, like, who did the hype package, but whoever did it did a fantastic job, because they are simply one of the greatest. I know I can't remember their name, but they are truly great.
I think they may have passed away fairly recently. I'm sure someone will say, but, like, TNA voiceover guy is, like, iconic, and it genuinely gave me goosebumps because of how epic they made it sound. And I know that I think someone who did, like, promo packages for WWE in the Attitude Era went over to TNA and started working for them, so it would explain why the kind of production quality of promos went up a lot. It's sort of in the mid-2000s. But yeah, I thought that TNA, around this time as well, their promo packages were second to none, in my opinion, at least.
Yeah, no one did promo packages. I like the guy who did it. We were forgetting his name.
Barry Scott. Barry Scott is the guy
who did the promo package.
Who does the voiceover, yeah.
Yeah, Barry Scott. There is no one like Barry Scott.
But we're in Orlando, Florida. Hosts are Mike Tenay and Don West. Love these two. They're fantastic. We're reminded that Christian lost the title without ever being pinned in the opener. And Kurt Angle and Christian will face off in the main event. We've also got the tag titles on the line. AJ and Tomko versus Samoa Joe and Kevin Nash. We've also got a big Knockouts title match, which I'm much looking forward to. But our opening contest, it's the Rock and Rave Infection with Christy Hemme versus the Latin American Exchange. That's Hernandez and Homicide. And they have been accompanied in recent weeks by a mystery attacker, a man that they say, which is, to be fair, it's very clearly a woman, but, we'll play pretenses at the moment. It's a mystery attacker who's assaulting Christy Hemme, and we don't know who it is, so we'll have to find out. Will they be revealed tonight? Spoiler alert, yes. But
yeah, with Conan. Conan was the mystery attacker.
It could have been Conan. Conan was looking quite shapely, though. Might have done something with his hair, I'm not sure. But
yeah,
the Rock and Rave connection, that's Lance Hoyt, aka Lance Archer, who... Can we just talk about the haircut?
Oh, yeah, the frosted tips. Oh, Jesus.
Like, I maybe it was cool back then, but you look at these shows and they're so dated. I think wrestling dates worse than anything else.
I think so too, especially stuff in the Attitude Era.
Oh, yeah, but I'm talking like fashion, not just the horrible stuff.
Well, we look at... I know we'll be mentioning on the next episode Christian's outfits, but...
Oh my god, yes, of course. We should bring that back, though. But we'll get to it.
He should.
So, obviously, the attacker, we don't know who it is, but I'm pretty sure it's not Conan. Anyway, Latin America Exchange, my favourite theme in TNA. What about you?
It's up there with the Christian Cage theme, honestly, and the Curryman's theme. It's honestly a great theme.
I was thinking as well, as I was saying before, in the last episode, how either the themes are fantastic or they're terrible. And I don't think the Rock and Rave Infection had a great theme song, but, that's just compared to the LAX. I love their little entrance they've got on the side of the stage as well. Before we kind of go over the cliff notes in this match, I just want to say I love Hernandez. I used him in NRW for a long time. And I think that Homicide as well, he moves unlike anyone I've kind of watched wrestle. I don't know if you understand what I'm talking about, but the kind of way he moves, like at one point he hit like a tope flipping through the second rope, and it's kind of like Darby Allin in a way, where he kind of throws in his whole body at people. But yeah, I just wanted to kind of point that out there. Do you want to kind of talk through the notes in this match?
It was really a nothing match, if I'm going to be honest. It was basically just LAX battering Rock and Rave Infection. Hernandez's little brother was in the ring as well. The referee with his shorts. My friend made a great point that it was Hernandez, his little brother. Just wanted to note that. Nothing really happens. It's a nothing match. Hernandez hits the border toss.
Jimmy Rave, Jesus, like the way he just crumpled on that canvas, that was gross.
Yeah, it was a top rope border toss for people wondering.
Yeah, like the border toss is dangerous enough as it is, without being just losing complete control on the top rope. So yeah, kind of a nothing match. It could have been on Impact, but I like LAX, so I wasn't too annoyed about it. It was short to the point, but we should talk about the post-match. We've got the mystery man running in, kicks Hoyt in the junk. Christy kicks them in the junk, but as we know, women don't feel pain if you kick them between the legs, apparently. That's wrestling logic, that is.
Because Conan doesn't have a bollocks, allegedly, so...
Allegedly, yeah. But it turns out it's not Conan. It's only Shelley Martinez. No, it could be Juventud. But it's Shelley Martinez. Jesus. Comedy tits. No offense. Like, I feel like, not just this match, but Miss Brooks. And, I don't want to be called a misogynist. Because people can have whatever plastic surgery they want. But there was a big thing at the time in wrestling of massive fake breasts. And maybe in pop culture.
Yeah, because this was the era of the fake tits, I want to say.
But Shelley Martinez, more than a pair of tits, she's lovely. And a great worker in she had that infamous match, didn't she? But by all accounts, she was quite nice. I think around the time she got fired because she got into an argument with Batista from WWE. This might be her first kind of big exposure since that whole incident went down. But yeah, what do you think about Shelley Martinez with LAX?
I think it was a great move. we will see more of LAX on tomorrow's the next week's review of TNA. But for people who are curious, yes, she unmasked. By unmasking, she literally took off all of her clothes and left the garments on, but she took off the rest.
There you go.
That's how TNA wanted to reveal her.
Yes. TNA obviously. You know what? I know that wrestling back in the 2000s has an air of sexism, and that's to put it lightly. But I do like how they use women in mostly prominent positions. Like they're always given something to do. Because especially around this time, they're given the knockouts stuff to do, and they the valets felt quite personality driven as opposed to arm candy in a lot of the cases. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I might be giving it too much credit.
Not too much. You can never have too much credit.
Don't want to get too much into it. But yeah, nothing match really. Could have been on Impact. The kind of segments that I was most looking forward to on this show were the Eric Young, James Storm, 2 out of 3 beer drinking contest. So I love Eric Young and James Storm as well. Great comedic actor. Our first contest of the evening is Never Have I Ever. So, do you want to talk about the kind of questions that were asked in this one?
I honestly forgot what questions were asked in this one.
Okay, so I've got some of them written. So every time James Storm, every time Eric Young would say something to James Storm, like he would say, "Never have I ever." For instance, "Killed a lion with my bare hands." James Storm would say, "Oh, hell yeah, I've done that," and he'll drink. I'm pretty sure you lose if you drink, but this is the rules they're playing, so fair enough. James Storm then will ask something about Eric Young that's uber specific, and Eric Young will kind of brush it off and be like, "Oh, I haven't done that." And then Eric Young will say something along the lines of, "Never have I ever been responsible for the 1967 Detroit riots and gone to the moon." But then James Storm will just lie because Eric's stupid. He loses. But I found it very entertaining. I like JB there too.
I think JB was drunk there as well. I think he was playing the game as well.
Yeah. It wouldn't be surprised me if they actually got a bit tippled on the set. Make it more fun.
Yeah. Wouldn't surprise me because Jeremy Borash does seem like the person that would be like, "Lads, we're just going to go drinking, lads."
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he's the mastermind behind the Boneyard match, remember, as well.
Oh, yeah, he is.
So I think Jeremy Borash, probably one of the most underrated personalities in wrestling.
He definitely is.
So great interviewer, and he's always in these skits. And we'll see him in other skits later on in the night. I also like Crystal as well as an interviewer. She's talking with AJ Styles, and he said he's not yet decided. Tomko has the personality of a potato, but I like his beard and I like his tattoos. But he needs to tell AJ to make his decision sooner or later. But then we cut to Dustin Rhodes, I believe. He's got a split personality, so sometimes he's Dustin Rhodes, and sometimes he's Black Rain. What about this feud? Do you like this feud? Because up next we've got Black Rain versus Kaz, aka Kazarian.
Nothing wrong with the match that we're going to talk about, but again, it could have been on Impact. It's a good rivalry, but it's just come down to Misty the Rat, basically.
And the rat is so cute. I don't know. Are you into your rats? Because I think rats are cute.
Yeah, they're pretty cute.
I don't understand why he's such a they're always going, "Oh, it's terrifying, this horrible rat," and then it's just kind of boggling. But yeah, well, you got any notes about this match really?
I've got no notes about this match. This match was pretty much just Kazarian beating up Black Rain. It was pretty much just that.
Yeah, I know there were a lot of headlocks as well. A lot of Black Rain headlocks. It always makes me sad seeing Black Rain because I know that he was probably going through a lot of this time in real life, Dustin was. But you can't help but laugh at his little wig and bin bag outfit. It's probably one of the worst gimmicks in wrestling ever. I don't know if that might be hyperbole, but what do you think about that?
I think Dustin Rhodes has had a lot of terrible gimmicks, like 7. Or was it 6?
7.
I think it was 7.
6 is afraid of 7. I'm sorry.
Very funny.
Yeah, that's the kind of humour you'll get on this podcast.
Yeah, 7 was a horrible gimmick, and then he became Goldust again, and then Goldust got electrocuted and had a stutter, So that also wasn't good. And then he left and he went to TNA. But you can clearly see that something's not right in Dustin at this time.
Yeah, and it doesn't make for good viewing, really. It doesn't help the kind of matches he's put in, really. Like, second match on the card against Kazarian. I think they're trying to push Kazarian and heavyweights at this point away from the X division, which, I'm not saying they shouldn't do, but I don't know whether they should put him against Black Rain here. Kaz wins, and he takes the Misty the Rat. But yeah, it didn't really go anywhere. It just kind of plodded along. It kind of ended out of nowhere as well, but yeah, he steals the Rat, and the feud will continue, which is a shame. Any more thoughts on that?
No thoughts on it whatsoever.
No thoughts. I do have thoughts on this next segment, because Jeremy Borash is ranting about AJ Styles, but Kurt Angle is not having any of it. I love Jeremy Borash as like Angle's little wingman, just kind of like following him about all the time.
Yeah, I actually love that when Jeremy Borash was just like Kurt Angle's little friend that he brings along, like doing now and stuff. And
he replies to Karen Angle when she says honey as well. Yeah, because I think Karen Angle says honey and JB replies, and then Kurt says, super seriously, you're not honey, I'm honey. And it's, he's trying to gear up for a world title match. He's not in his right headspace. But yeah, Kurt Angle can do it all. I mean, it's weird how, like, in this era, because we've seen him do comedy in the past, but this era, like the comedy he was doing, it still felt like he was trying to take himself seriously, which is kind of a new element, because before, you could kind of tell he wasn't taking himself too seriously, but here it feels like he's taking himself seriously whilst, like, the character itself is unintentionally hilarious. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, so, next matchup, I'll say it right now, probably my favourite match of the night. Knockouts Championship on the line. Gail Kim defends against Awesome Kong. If you think about the TNA Knockouts division, you think of Kim and Kong, right?
I immediately think of them or ODB.
Yeah, and ODB as well. But it's such a groundbreaking feud, and I say that in terms of, when you look at WWE's women's division at the time, you've got the talent there. You've got your Mickie Jameses and your Melinas and such, but they are not given the opportunity to really put on proper prolonged feuds or matches. And Kim versus Kong was the first real women's feud in TNA. Well, not first, for a championship at least. But they end up having a rematch on the Impact. We're going to watch the post-show, which ends up main eventing that show, and that'll be fun to talk about too. But this match, yeah, great. What do you think about it?
I think this match was great. My favourite referee, I think, was in this match again. Hernandez's little brother.
Oh, Slick Johnson, that's it. I was trying to think of his name, but yeah, the guy who wears the short pants and the t-shirt.
Yeah, I call him Hernandez's little brother because if you look at him, he does.
Yeah, he's got the shiny head. Shiny head and a little goatee, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, the majority of this match, do you want to kind of go through it, or not?
You can go through and I'll just nod along, and if I want to say something.
Yeah, that's alright. I mean, to be honest, I know during this match I wasn't really taking as many notes as I was just enjoying it, because it was so engrossing, really. Kim is the underdog, so to speak, and Kong is just this monster, and they are going through, it's no disqualification too, so they're going through the crowd, and I love the crowd brawl. I love the aesthetic of the Impact Zone. It's so gritty, and I wish that NXT had like an ounce of this kind of grittiness in their kind of performance center sort of setup that they've got going on. So they're brawling through the crowd. Eventually, when they get back into the ring, I think Kong just launches Gail Kim into the the barricade. So she is just beating her up. But it's there are dueling chants for both women. A lot of people siding for Kong, a lot of people siding for Gail. But they're just constantly. It feels like sometimes Kim is just running at a brick wall. It is interesting, but I do like how Gail shows a lot of babyface fire. She keeps using the chair to try and get her down, tries to planche her, gets caught, and then Kong hitting back fists that look like they're going to knock Gail's head off. Eventually, tries to go for the powerbomb. Gail slips out. She avoids a chokeslam as well, and she keeps kicking out, and the crowd are kind of on their feet at this point. Hernandez's little brother is getting on Kong's case, and poor Slick Johnson. Do you want to say what happened to him?
He absolutely got flattened.
Destroyed. But he wasn't the only one, was he?
No. A second referee comes down. I believe Awesome Kong goes to powerbomb. Gail Kim then, I think, kicks Awesome Kong, and basically the referee falls down, and she pins him and wins, and she wins. Gail Kim pinned Awesome Kong.
That finish was awesome, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. I did not do it justice there, because I was trying to remember it, but that finish, you have to go out and have a look at it, because it's a great finish.
Yeah, if you watch any match on this show, other than the main event, I would definitely recommend watching this one. It's maybe not one. Actually, I would say it's one of my favourite, at least, women's matches I've seen as of late. Because they are, the story they told was really, really solid. And it was, it's only going to continue here. And yeah, there's a reason people kind of reminisce about Kim and Kong and their rivalry in this era. What did you think of the match? Would you say it's your favourite of the night, or is it tied, or what?
It is my second favourite match of the night. Like, it is, honestly, if you really want to see any other match by the main event, check out this match, because it absolutely ruled. Like, I wasn't taking notes during the matches after this, because I was too invested in the show, because from here, the show just picks up a pace.
This was the point where, because I must admit, after that first two matches, I was like, oh, I don't know. But, after that, it picked up a lot. But we got to move on to our next segment. AJ Styles is trying to get some from Karen Angle, but Karen Angle is kind of using her womanly ways to try and help Kurt Angle and this is all happening in the men's bathroom. JB's trying to nosy in, isn't he?
JB's trying to get involved in some action, and basically Karen Angle goes, no, I'll get to you later, JB.
And then ODB is there too.
Yeah, ODB walks out of the men's bathroom, smoking a cigar.
It's silly, but I don't mind.
Jim Cornette could be hard having a fit backstage somewhere in TNA.
It is weird how he's here at the same time, and yet all of this silly stuff is going on. I'm sure, I don't know what he'd think about it.
I bet he was like, oh, God damn it, I can't wait to start a podcast to crap all over it.
One day. But we've also got Jim Mitchell with Judas Macias. He says that Abyss needs to reveal his secret. But what is the secret? We'll never know. This is very, very similar to The Undertaker and Kane, isn't it?
Yeah, this is very similar to that. It's very similar. I don't think the secret ever gets revealed, or it does, and I'm just forgetting.
Is it not that Abyss is actually Jim Mitchell's son, or he killed his mother, or something to that extent?
I think it's something to that extent, but I'm not too sure, because they've done that angle with Abyss to death.
Oh, yeah. The greatest Abyss angle has to be and we'll say at the same time, the Hulk Hogan TNA ring.
Oh no, you're not going to say that. Ring?
Yeah, the Hall of Fame ring with the Hulk Hogan, where he gave him special powers. Do you remember that?
Oh, I remember that so well.
We should do that show where it happens. I know you said you hate it. No? Okay, well, we'll see. Next up,
Maybe.
Chris Abyss versus Judas Macias. Judas Macias, a.k.a. Mil Mascaris, still going strong today. But yeah, I wasn't expecting a lot from this one. And, it wasn't great, but I liked it. I don't know about you.
I liked the match. It was a good match. Again, nothing match, but unlike the Kaz and Lance Hyde matches, it flew by in comparison to them too. Yeah,
that one dragged, and this one didn't drag as much. Macias was putting a lot of beating on Abyss in here. Maybe the Macias stuff is a bit goofy. Like I was saying in the last review, I don't really like the Macias. a Black Rain kind of arc that they had going on with Abyss there. But I do appreciate Macias as a wrestler. Like I said, I love Mil Muertes, the work he's done there, and Abyss as well is fantastic. But here it's more about Abyss trying to overcome Mitchell and Macias, and you know that the secret's probably not going to be revealed tonight. Here's a Black Hole Slam, and then gets a barbed wire chair in, flat Lorano on the chair to Abyss from Macias, and he gets the win. But yeah, it was all right. I wasn't as annoyed by this one as I was the Black Rain one earlier, because at least it had a wacky post-match thing where, if you want to go for it.
Basically, after the post match, James Mitchell gets on a microphone and basically says, "I'm gonna set you on fire." And Judas Mercedes gets out a petrol can and pours petrol or diesel over Abyss, and James Mitchell is about to set him on fire until security guards come in. I'm like, no, you can't do that here. Remember the last time there was a fire in the Impact Zone, Monty Brown had to cut a promo, and Monty Brown is retired, so you cannot set him on fire.
Mark that down. I want to do that show as well.
The one where the Impact roof goes on fire?
Yeah. I think it was like 05 or something like that. But
it was 06.
Oh, yeah, of course. But yeah, so interesting post-match. Not, can't say I'm into this feud too much, but I like all the players. It's just, we've seen it kind of before, really, with The Undertaker and Kane. I mean, obviously, I wouldn't say it's a stretch to say it's at least inspired by that. But yeah, next up, we've got Crystal with Kevin Nash. Kevin Nash does not give a damn. He feels like I like his cool demeanour, but sometimes he just kind of mumbles so much that I can't hear what he's talking about, and I'm one to talk, but yeah, what do you think about this promo?
Isn't this the iconic promo where he just asks her, "Do you want to go for dinner?" And she goes, "Yeah."
Yes, yeah, it is. He's just kind of rambling on, and he kind of trails off, and he's like, "Oh, do you want to go out?" He asks her out, and yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, that's all that happened on this segment was Kevin Nash just asked her to go for dinner.
Literally. You wouldn't think anything was up, but there was something up with Kevin Nash, and we'll find out later tonight, I'm sure. Booker and Sharmell get interview time because they're about to face Robert Roode and Miss Brooks, and the whole story about this match is that Miss Brooks is being kind of abused by Robert Roode, and she is sick of Robert Roode being a misogynist and being irritating as a boss, and Booker T... No, Sharmell's trying to stand up for her, and Booker T is kind of not protecting Miss Brooks necessarily, but just kind of standing up to the chauvinistic pig that is Robert Roode. What do you think of this storyline?
It's a good storyline, but I don't think it's aged well necessarily.
No, but I will say, at the very least, Robert Roode is the heel, whereas maybe in WWE he'd be the face. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he would have been the face in WWE. They would have put the title on him, and then he would have lost to Goldberg in 3 seconds.
Yes. Oh, if only that could have happened, but never mind. The crowd is very much into Booker T. Obviously, he's just left WWE at this point, and he's only recently come to Impact Wrestling, TNA at the time, and it does seem like a big deal, really. But he looks pretty good in this matchup. Most of it is Robert Roode and Booker T. Not really a lot to speak of, to be honest. The most compelling thing about this match is the interaction between Miss Brooks and, I was talking about comedy tits earlier with Shelley Martinez. She's like that's, I don't say it's a gimmick, but it definitely is what you think about when you think of Miss Brooks.
I don't think Miss Brooks was used as a wrestler. I think they were just like, oh, she has fake tits, use her.
She's the valet, yeah. But, I thought she played a part well in this one. She acted well. Every time that Roode would tell her to cheat, she wouldn't do it. And she was just refusing to do it, which I thought was a good touch. Also, Miss Brooks, I believe, is married to Kazarian now. A little bit of trivia.
That's nice.
Because she was in the crowd for Slammiversary, I want to say, as his wife. So it's very nice that they're together now. I don't know if she's still got the comedy tits. But in this matchup, Roode kind of verbally abusing Brooks and accidentally tags her in. And then Charmel comes in, and for someone who feels sorry for Miss Brooks, absolutely destroys her. Why?
I have no idea why.
It just feels weird, doesn't it? Because it's like the whole thing is that Booker and Charmel are like sick of Rude treating Miss Brooks like this, and then Charmel's coming in and just beating the feck out of her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a very strange kind of dynamic there to do that. But Rude runs into. Is it Charmel who gets the pin in this one? I quite remember.
I think it did the Charmel or Booker T. But they win the match, I think.
They win the match, and obviously Rude is irate at Miss Brooks for losing this, and she is just furious that he's talking to her this way. And Charmel tries to run in for the save, but oh my god, that's what happened.
Oh no! How could he? Robert Roode absolutely floors her. He decks Charmel.
Not even.
She sells it so well.
Yeah, like she sells it to the point where she freaking flies across the ring, and the whole crowd is just like, "Oh no!" Like it could have connected for real. You never know. But Booker T, like the look on his face is like, "Oh, now you want to do this." It feels real. It's good. Like the acting from all of them is top notch. I like how they kind of give this angle time to develop. I'm not saying I like women being punched in the face. I'm just saying it's a good angle to get Robert Roode over as a dick. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a good angle to get him over.
And Booker T, because Charmel as well, she holds her own, and she's one of the few people standing up to Robert Roode, which is good. Booker T now is like, oh damn, now you've like proper made this personal, and I think they continue feuding for the next couple of months. So this is just kind of the start of it, really. Next up, Christian is in an interview, puts over AJ, is giving him tough love because he thinks he's a good talent in TNA, and makes fun of Karen Angle. And you know what? There's also stuff that I should mention, that this main event is technically heel versus heel. So what do you think about heel versus heel main event? Or maybe just heel versus heel matches in general for wrestling?
It depends, because some people can pull it off, some people cannot. It really differs. Like Kurt Angle and Christian Cage can pull it off. But, if someone like Rob Terry versus Hulk Hogan as two heels could not pull it off.
It's a shame we never got that match.
Yeah, Icon versus Icon.
Yeah, this the WrestleMania 17 of TNA it could have been, but oh well. But I think Christian has a lot of charisma. He's Captain Charisma, for God's sake. He does the whole the sea taunt. But yeah, we've also got the drinking championship. It continues. So, what was this? It was the one where I can't remember what they call it, but you tape the beer to your hands with duct tape, and you're not allowed to leave to go to the bathroom or anything like that. You just got to stay there and drink as much as possible until you give up, really. What happens here? What is the straw that breaks the camel's back for James Storm? What happens?
James Storm absolutely pisses himself.
Yeah. It's not even subtle, is it? It's he does a big old piss, and he's covered in piss. Even Jackie goes in to check if it's actually piss or it's not just beer, and she confirms. So Eric Young wins this match up by urination, I guess. Is that ever happened before in wrestling?
I don't think so. CM Punk did shit himself.
He did.
But I think that's different.
Yeah. But not necessarily to win a match. Maybe Brawl Out could have gone differently. Who knows? Next up, Ultimate X, Team 3D and Johnny Devine versus the Motor City Machine Guns and Jay Lethal. This is for the possession of the X Division Championship, not necessarily for the title, just to have the championship, which is kind of confusing. So Team 3D, they're going after the X Division. I feel like TNA have done this a bunch, but I really, really like this match. I know it's not a good match, but I liked it because I liked the comedy in it. I liked the storyline, and again, most of these matches are storyline based. They're not 5-star classics, are they?
No, they're not. Most of these matches are just for comedy reasons or just storyline based. They're not really 5-star classics, but they are good matches.
It's entertaining, and I think it flies by because of that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, X Division title on the line, not the actual, but again, just holding the championship. Keep having to say that. Because Devon comes out, he's not the X Division champion, but he does have the championship. Jay Lethal is the champion. They want the title back. So Bubba's kind of cutting a rambling promo. He's good on the mic, though. I'll give him that. It's always entertaining to hear that. We'll have to do Heatwave 99 from ECW, because that was the infamous Heatwave riot from Bubba Ray that he caused. And so we start off this match. What were your highlights? What were your favourite parts of this match, in your opinion?
My favourite part was Bubba and Devon trying to grab the X Division title without trying to climb the actual structure. Yeah,
like trying to... You could see them trying to jump up, and they're very self-aware. They're big, stocky guys at this time, so they're trying to... They keep falling off, and they can't quite get it. Like they always take the mick out of the X Division, but when they try and just simply climb the trust, they can't do it. So, we see them use methods like getting on each other's shoulders, trying to get a leg up. You see Bubba Ray at one point, Devon at one point, he's like on his hands and knees and he's trying to use himself as a step ladder for Bubba Ray, but he just collapses under the weight of Bubba Ray. It is funny and I like it. I think that kind of, it makes sense within the match, because I know sometimes comedy can take you out of wrestling matches, can't it? But I felt like it made sense. I don't want to talk about too much psychology. I don't want to give it more credit than it's worth, but I appreciate the psychology in this one.
I appreciate it too. It was a good match again. I think it was also a good match because of 3 men in it. Team 3D, and then I should have said 4 men. Team 3D and Motor City Machine Guns are just great wrestlers, and that's why.
Yeah. The thing as well with the hands. So they took out the Machine Gun's hands on the Impact before, so they can't climb the trust. So I appreciate that little detail. But what the ending? Oh god, it was so not unsatisfying for a bad. Well, it was, but it wasn't anything they could help. When Devine hit the table, he didn't go through the table. He just went bam on the table. That looked nasty, didn't it?
That looked horrible.
Yeah.
But it's honestly like a horrible moment, but it's also like, oh Jesus, it could have been much worse.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at least he hit it cleanly rather than like catching the edge of it or something. But yeah, so 3D on Sabin. Devon goes up on the ladder, pulls the belt down, and then the ref sees that he's just hanging from the thing. He didn't actually use the ladder, but it's not even a rule, so it doesn't make any... But the Dudleys were fun, but it's still entertaining. I wouldn't say that the X Division guys were jobbed out or anything, but yeah, it's interesting to see here. What are your thoughts overall on this match?
I think this was honestly another good match that was, again, held by Motor City Machine Guns and Team 3D.
Yeah, I would say they were the main stars of this one. More tag team action coming very soon. Samoa Joe's being interviewed though first. He says he didn't start off on good terms with Nash. Obviously we talked about the shoot promo, which caused him a lot of heat backstage, because he went off on Scott Hall and anyone who was in, because Scott Hall no-showed the last pay-per-view and caught a lot of flack from the likes of Kevin Nash, but now they're kind of turning it into an angle here. And we've got up next, we have the tag team championships on the line. So it's AJ Styles and Tyson Tomko taking on the team of Kevin Nash and Samoa Joe. It's supposed to be the outsiders, but obviously Scott Hall not here. So Samoa Joe teaming up with Kevin Nash here. And right off the bat, AJ Styles, he's got other things on his mind. He's got the main event on his mind. But, I thought I liked this match simply because the exchanges between Styles and Joe were so smooth.
Oh yeah, they were totally smooth.
Two of my favourite wrestlers ever, so it's good to see them. The more they were in the match, the more I was kind of intrigued by it. Nash gets in a couple of shots, but not really. AJ takes out Nash quite early on. Tomko and Nash, it's better than I thought it was going to be,
Yeah, I was honestly expecting much worse, but it was actually good.
Yeah, like, I think that Nash at this time, to be fair, like with the injuries he's had at this point, like he was doing all right. He was doing fine. Tomko as well. Joe and AJ is great. Like so slick, and they're very smart. That those two are the ones who take most of the heat in this matchup. So it feels like at one point that I haven't seen Nash for ages and ages and ages, and then essentially he gets on the apron. He's going to make the hot tag to Samoa Joe. And I feel really stupid in hindsight for not seeing this coming.
I kind of expected it to happen.
But like, I only thought it was going to happen the second before he jumped down. Nash, he betrays his partner. Who would have thunk it? Walks away, and then essentially the crowd. I think the crowd quite turns on Joe a little bit, don't they?
Yeah, the crowd for some reason turned on Joe, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because they realised, oh wait, didn't he just bury Scott Hall the month before?
Yeah, I mean, maybe the Outsiders are more popular than we kind of give credit for. I mean, at least at this time. Maybe he rubbed some people up the wrong way, I'm not sure. It could be go-away heat from, sometimes wrestlers, they don't get the belt soon enough and it kind of gets people to turn on them. I don't know. I can't think of another example, but yeah, it could have been a bit of that. But yeah, interesting dynamic there with the crowd. So, obviously AJ and Tomko, they win, but yeah, I thought the match was fine. What did you think?
I honestly thought the match was fine. It honestly just was more to get, I want to say, the rivalry between Joe and Nash going. That was the main reason for the match. Impact
after, you sent me a screenshot earlier, didn't you, of Kevin Nash in a baseball bat, and find out what the context of that was very, very funny. So I look forward to reviewing that with you. And now, before the main event, final segment of the Eric Young and James Storm drinking contest. So, what happens here?
Basically, they have to drink as much alcohol as they can before, and the last one who survives wins the knockout. They win the contest.
Yeah, when we say survives, not die. It doesn't die of alcohol poisoning. Just like passes out, basically. Yeah. They slip something into Young's drink. Storm does. Because Jackie's flashing people to distract him. JB's a dirty old fecker, so he's obviously looking. Storm slips something into Eric Young's drink. He passes out, and Storm is the world drinking champion. I should know that it's literally the WWE Championship with a beer title on it. Yes. Oh my God, it is. It's the spinner belt, isn't it? It's just got a beer instead of the logo. Yeah, it's just got a beer bottle on it. That's quite. I like how. People used to take the mick out of TNA for being like a knockoff WWE, but stuff like this I think is really funny. Yeah, it's just kind of acknowledging that people say that they're a knockoff. It's kind of just acknowledging that. Yeah, it's a little bit of a wink and a nod, really. But yeah, so now we've got... we get a little bit of a backstage segment with Kurt Angle. Hears about Karen Angle, but Kurt is happy because, I don't know, he's kind of oblivious to it, really. Next up, it's the main event. For the TNA title, Kurt Angle defends against Christian Cage. Both are trying to win the approval of AJ Styles. They both want AJ on their team because originally AJ Styles was part of the Christian Coalition along with Tomko, but more recently AJ Styles has kind of sided with Kurt Angle, and now that Angle and Cage are kind of infighting here, there is concern among both men. We're kind of left wondering which side will AJ Styles choose. Tomko is kind of trying to stay out of it, but Styles is still kind of torn between them. So, this match I really enjoyed. I would say, if the Knockouts title wasn't on the card, I think this was a better match than the Knockouts title. Don't get me wrong. But I probably preferred that match because of the crowd involvement. I thought the crowd involvement in this one, though, was very good too. What are your overall takeaways from this matchup? I honestly think that this match was pretty good. It was honestly an excellent match. The takeaways I have from this match is just Christian's footwork. He's something else, and the bumps he takes here is unreal. It's something so simple, but I know a lot of people, like a lot of wrestlers as well, will note how well Christian, like his fundamentals are, and you see it in here. And like two of the best like sound wrestlers there are, like everything is so perfect. It's like a perfect main event match in a way, isn't it? Yeah, it's like a perfect main event match. I'm literally just copying what you say because
That's all it was. It was a perfect match.
Yeah, literally, like nothing was like it wasn't. You know what? I would say go out of your way to watch it. I would watch it. It's definitely a solid main event match. It's probably one of the last major matches Christian has in TNA before he goes back to WWE. But it just shows you how good Christian is and how well he can piece together a match along with Kurt Angle, who, you know, he pulls out the Perk Angle classics, the moonsault, the run to the top and belly to belly off, the ferocious attempts at angle slams and ankle locks. But Christian, he continues to fight back. They're trading forearms. There's arm drags. You know, a lot of stuff that you wouldn't normally see from these two. But there are, and you know, he actually hits the moonsault for one thing, I should say as well, because usually he misses it, but he hit this one. I think he landed right on Cage's face, didn't he?
I think so.
Yeah, so he crushes Christian's face. Rolling German suplexes, ankle lock, goes for the unprettier, but it's countered again, and I love the counter. It's so smooth.
Oh, I absolutely love the counter of the angle slam into the I think I'm misremembering the match, but honestly, I love the counter.
Yeah, it was angle slam into, I could be wrong, I think it might have been into like a submission or something maybe. But yeah, I could be wrong. So the unprettier is hit, Christian gets a 2 count, he hooks in the ankle lock, and Kurt Angle's tapping, but Karen has the referee. So now it comes crunch time, because we have AJ Styles come down to the ring. He takes away Karen Angle, so you think, oh, he's on Christian's side because he hugs Christian, and then the betrayal. Phenomenal forearm to the back of the skull, angle slam, Kurt Angle retains. Obviously, you could tell they were trying to build up a big-time epic match, but, you know, I think it came close. I thought it had its moments. I did really enjoy it, though. I thought it was, I wouldn't say spectacular necessarily, but I would say solid and well worth your time to go and watch it, because I just thought even the simple things they did really well.
Everything they done was done well. I don't think you could expect more from two of the greatest wrestlers of all time.
It was a match as well that I felt was like, you know, if someone's booking a pick-fed main event for a show, you'd show them this one. This is how you did it. You know, it had all the fundamentals there.
They need to book a match.
The post-match where, you know, AJ and Angle, they're celebrating, Christian feels betrayed, and yeah, then we fade to black, and that is it for Final Resolution 2008. January 2008, I should say, because they have another one in December, which is a little bit confusing, but, you know, it is what it is. Overall, what are your thoughts on the pay-per-view?
It's honestly a good pay-per-view because it flies by. I think the action in the ring is just phenomenal, no pun intended, but it just flies by. It's honestly a great watch if you want to just watch something and leave it on. It's honestly just good, because some of the matches in it, you just get distracted. Like, you get taken out of it. Yeah,
I would say as well, like you said, it was a really easy watch. You know, I'd love every match to be a 5-star classic, but I felt like it was paced well. I was a little bit worried at the start, I'm not going to lie. The first 2 matches didn't really capture my attention. I was being very patient, but once the Knockouts title match hit, everything after that was, even if the matches weren't like 5-star or anything, it was still very entertaining to watch. Obviously, favourite match of the night has to be, for me, the Knockouts title match, followed closely by the main event between Christian and Angle, just because I thought it was a very well told story, and, you know, as simple as some of the kind of construction of it had all of the elements of a great main event, so I appreciated that. And also, like, the storyline matches with the Ultimate X, I thought was amusing. The drinking championship stuff as well, I should mention, I thought was amusing, and the backstage skits with AJ as well throughout the night were quite fun. And even like stuff like Abyss and Judas Messias, I thought was fine. You know, I enjoy that kind of dynamic there, and the stuff with Joe and Styles in that tag match. You know, it wasn't like TNA's best pay-per-view ever or anything like that, but it was still a fun watch. You know, 2 matches that are worth going out your way to watch, and the rest of it is easy. So, yeah, any final thoughts really on this whole pay-per-view?
No final thoughts. I do think it's one of the better TNA pay-per-views that I watched over my time.
I don't know. I would have to watch more because I feel like I haven't watched a TNA show in years, like from this era at least. So I would have to go back. But yeah, it did do what it needed to do. Might not have been the most built up card over the. It felt like this was just the start of something to come. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
So, a transitional pay-per-view, though, it still served its purpose. So, yeah, that is Final Resolution. Do we need to talk about anything else?
No, we don't have to talk about anything else.
No, but a very solid show. I'd recommend checking out the Knockouts title match and the World title match from this show. That is Final Resolution. You can go and watch it yourself and let me know what you thought of this podcast in the comments below. Be sure as well to give your thoughts on the pay-per-view if you've seen it. And, what are your memories of this kind of show, this kind of era of TNA? Let us know in those comments below. Be sure to like the video if you enjoyed and subscribe to Pigs and Fergs Wrestling for more of this wrestling nonsense that we got going on here. So, from Piggy and myself, do you want to say goodbye?
Goodbye.
Goodbye, and we will catch you next time for our next episode.